What's going on, Longhorn Nation? It's your boy BJ with Bad Talks. I'm back this week after the Rice game. Do something a little bit different. Usually I do a recap on Sunday, the game we just played, but I wasn't real motivated to do a Rice recap. I just didn't think there was enough content. Yeah, of course, a lot of good things happened in the game. I thought Texas played really well. Of course, they won 48-13 to move 2-1 on the year. I wasn't feeling a full video of just a Rice recap. So I may like doing this better. So what I'm going to do a quick recap of the Rice game and some things I liked about the Rice game. And then we'll go ahead and jump right into our Oklahoma State preview. And then I'll go over the AP top 10 and give you my thoughts on that. Again, solely my opinion. And then we'll do the Bad Talks top 10. And I'll explain that as well. Then I'll kind of close it off with kind of what game day does. There's some key matchups this week. When games like that's going on this week, I'd like to make a pick 'em and see if I get them right or whatever. And so I'll close with picking Oklahoma State or Texas to see who'll win that game. But like I said to start the video out, Texas, rolled. They jumped out early on Rice and didn't look back. One thing I was very impressed about this game is it's very hard knowing football like I do and been involved with it since I was a little boy. It's very hard to lose a tough game to a really good opponent, knowing you could have won that football game, and then play a team that you know you can beat very easily and handily, and then knowing next week you have a conference opener, best running back in the country stats-wise coming in, and then one of the best receivers stats-wise coming in to Austin, Texas next week. So it'd be very easy for Texas to overlook Rice and, of course, not get beat by Rice, but maybe be a little sluggish. Being on 28-14 or something like that, because that's the Texas teams of the past have done. But Texas didn't, man. They showed up. They came out to play. I was very impressed from the opening kickoff. We started jumping right at, going right at Malcolm Epps and getting that big 6'6" young man the rock. And then, of course, Ellinger, he was 11 for 12 in the first quarter for 175 yards, had a 208 quarterback rating in the first quarter. That's a way to start. That's how you put your foot on a team's neck and get out on them early. I was very impressed with how Sam started the game. This is probably one of Sam's best games I've seen him play. He was putting the ball on the money. There in the first, it was like third and medium or whatever, and Epps did a stop route, and as soon as you turn around, the ball hit him in the face, and of course he caught it for the first down. He hit Jake Smith over the middle for a nice touchdown. He put it right on the money, put Jake in stride, and there's nobody going to catch Jake once he gets going. He only ran, 5-6 times or something like that. That's what Texas needs. They don't need to be running Sam Ellinger right now a whole lot before conference play, especially against a team like Rice. We definitely don't want him to get hurt. And I hate to say this, but after seeing a lot of young guys play, Casey Thompson got to play quarterback, and I wasn't real impressed with what Casey's bringing to the table. Again, he had backup receivers. He had young guys with him, so I get it. But he didn't look very poised at all. He's definitely not accurate as you'd like him to be. But the potential's there. So we got to keep Sam healthy. So I'm glad that he got to go out in the third quarter once Texas took commanding lead, 38-0 or whatever it was. What I like about Sam coming back out in the first or the second half was Texas kind of finished a little sluggish in the first half. So I think Coach wanted to see how we're going to respond when we come out in the second half. And of course, we drove right down and scored a touchdown, and it was good to see. Jake Smith got him 2 more touchdowns. That kid's got 3 touchdowns already in 3 games. And young freshman, looks good out there. Man, he looks like a Shipley. Obviously, looks like Jordan Shipley to me, but maybe a little bit heavier. But he's a good-looking kid. I really like Jake Smith. Keontae played okay in my eyes. He didn't light the world up. He had 74 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Again, against a very not so good Rice defense. But I thought he played okay. He ran hard. He, in my eyes, he still goes down a little too easy for me. I think Rashad Johnson seems like he runs a little harder. And then the running back room got a little stronger this weekend. Daniel Young came back from that high ankle sprain. You can see he was still a little gimpy out there, but he did come in and ran hard when he came in. A young man likes to deliver the blow. He don't let you hit him. He'll deliver the blow. So moving on into the Oklahoma State game, it seemed like we'll have a better running backs room anyway in rotation. The defense played better. They only gave up 179 yards passing or something like that. Less than 100 yards rushing for all the running backs and the quarterback. So overall, the defense did good. A lot of young guys got to play defense. I like how that young Mitchell guy looks. JUCO transfer, or whatever you call him, moved in. He looked really good. But I like that Texas got to play a lot of players. Coach Herman said in his press conference today that some of those guys are scout team guys. They work scout team this week, so they got to get in and get some playing time, which is cool because people don't really recognize, man, these scout guys are they make the team better. They really do, and I try to preach that to my kids that I coach now, that you don't play a whole lot, but in practice you need to make the starters better, and if you do that, you're going to get in the game. And it was good they got to get in the game. I thought all three phases played well. The offense, of course, is the best we've seen in a while here at Texas. The defense grew up a little bit, I think. Again, it was a little more vanilla offense than what they're going to see this week against Oklahoma State. But they held their own. There was a couple busted coverages or whatever, but that's going to happen with these young guys. And then what I like about Texas is this team, anyway, what they did was Rice went down and scored. There was 2 minutes left in the game or something like that and kicked off to Texas. And what Texas did was run the kickoff back 97 yards. And when you can do that, that shows that even though you know it's already 38-13 or whatever it is, you're still going to go out and bust your butt and block on every play regardless of the times on the clock, regardless of how much you're winning, how much you're losing by. You're still going to go out and play that down. And Coach Herman brought that up in his press conference today. And I'd already planned on speaking on it, so it was cool to hear him talk about it because I noticed it too. And Jamison, when he right up the middle, he was gone. There's no catching that young man. Jamison's probably second or third fastest on the team behind Duvernay and Burt and guys like that. But my takeaways from the game is the defense probably got a little bit better. Special teams, I mean, Dicker the kicker hit a 57-yard field goal, played well, and then I just think the offense is legit. The offensive line is very, very good. Of course, Shackelford went down with a ankle sprain, I believe, is what Coach Herman said today. He's probable for the Oklahoma State game. Colin Johnson did not play for a hamstring issue. He's probable for the Oklahoma State game. They're probably going to play, especially Colin Johnson. And then Osai, linebacker, he shoulder sprains, what he said. He said he's going to put a brace on it tomorrow and some pads underneath, and he's going to practice tomorrow, so he's also probable for the Oklahoma State game. Good win on Saturday. Texas played against Texas on Saturday, and I thought they did well. But moving on, talking about injuries going to the Oklahoma State game, let's go ahead and jump into that game. Again, I'm only at 8 minutes, so I couldn't really sit and talk about Rice a whole lot. I'm excited about this Oklahoma State game. For one, Coach Mullet is a thorn in Texas' side. I mean, he's won 5 straight years against Texas. 5 straight years against Texas. My son was in first grade the last time Texas beat Oklahoma State. Now he's in middle school. So Oklahoma State, we always hear how Oklahoma's got Texas number and all that. We go back and forth with those guys, but Oklahoma State absolutely has Texas number. 5 years in a row, that's hard to do. And they beat them at home. I was there a couple of those games at home that we lost to, but when we lost to Oklahoma State, and then it's very tough to beat them at their home, as we know. But Saturday night, they'll be in Austin. So, man, I'm excited for the game, but they do bring a young quarterback in. But right now, he's throwing it all over the field, and the young man can use his feet. Got Hubbard coming in at running back. He only rushed for 256 yards against Tulsa the other day. Kind of took over the game. Tulsa jumped ahead in the second quarter, third quarter, something like that. And then Hubbard carried on the rest of the way and pulled ahead, and Oklahoma State never looked back. And then you got the wide receiver's name completely. Wallace, there we go. Wide receiver for Oklahoma State. He killed Texas last year, and he has every year he's been there. He's coming in as one of the best wide receivers in the country, leading in yards in the country. So what do? You try to stop the run and let Wallace go free one-on-one against your corners. Do you help out and you let Hubbard run that down your throat? I mean, As Coach Herman said today, it's going to be an issue. Scariest, whatever he used, the Armageddon line. I can't even remember what he said, but it's going to be a tough ball game. And their D, Oklahoma State's D is about what their defense is about what they always are. They're talented. They're not world beaters by any means. Texas is going to score too, but this is not going to be a 21-20 ball game. This is going to be a 48-45 ball game. I think, anyway, personal opinion. But I think Coach Orlando's probably going to blitz a lot like he always does. Coach Orlando likes to blitz. So he's going to bring the heat on the young man. He's going to see what the young freshman's got. The quarterback, I believe he's a true freshman. See what he's got and see if he can disguise some stuff and get some guys in there. Obviously, B.J. Foster, one of our best blitzers, is not in the game. He's not going to be playing. He's got that severe hamstring pull. So unfortunately, he won't be in there. So Texas is banged up. Texas is banged up on defense, and then of course one of our better offensive linemen went down this last week. But I thought Okafor came in and played well against Rice. Again, that's not Oklahoma State, but it is. Defense is scares me because we all know if you're a Texas fan, if you watch Texas this year, Texas defense is struggling right now a little bit, a lot. They're giving up a lot of yards. But I think against Oklahoma State, you may have to go a little heavy. You may have to put Coburn, Sweat, Ojimo, Roach, and all those guys down on the line, and 2 linebackers, and then hope for the best with 5 DBs. I don't know. And that's why they get paid the big bucks. But I don't know if we can run that 8 DB stuff a whole lot with Hubbard back there at running back. But, it is what it is. That's enough on Oklahoma State. What I like to see from Texas is I'd like to see Texas run the football better. I don't remember the last time we had a 100-yard rusher at Texas. I mean, I'm sure it was last year or sometime, but one of our running backs. I'd like to see Keontae take over a game like all these other running backs do in college football and make a name for himself, man. The young man's a stud, highly recruited out of Carthage. I mean, he's a good young running back. If not, then let Roshan be RB1. Let's let him run the ball some more. Let Daniel Young run the ball some more. We need somebody that wants to run the football and not go down with arm tackles. It's almost like he's off balance all the time. But we're going to need him to play well. We're going to need the running backs to play well. And I'm hoping Sam don't have to run a whole lot. With saying that, hoping we run the ball, I don't want Texas to stop from throwing it around. I mean, you got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and Sam's proven that every day, every game so far. Why not keep slinging it? Keep throwing. When you throw a flare out to Duvernay, Jake Smith, and those guys, it's like a run play. Is all it is. You get your lead blocks out in front and hope you pick up 5 to 8 yards. And sometimes it gets tackled for no gain, but sometimes Duvernay picks up 15. So keep throwing the ball around. Keep throwing to our big dogs. Keep throwing to Epps and Eagles and Colin Johnson and Duvernay and Jake Smith. I like to see our receiver. I love our receivers, actually. But I think the keys of the game is we got to get some sort of run game. We got to get Oklahoma State to in the box a little bit more than what we do other teams. Right now, nobody that we play, have played, nor will we play right now is scared of Texas run game. And it's been that way for a while. So we need to get something going on the ground. Even if it is run Sam Moore this game. Even if he needs 8 to 10 touches this week. It's a big Big 12 game. Of course, we lost Oklahoma State last year and still made the Big 12 championship. But Oklahoma State's legit, man. I really think they're a good football team. They're not ranked yet. And I heard on TV yesterday or it might have been this morning, if Oklahoma State and Kansas State was in the SEC, they'd be number 22 or 23. That's just how the polls roll for some reason. But again, I'm not a conference guy, so I really don't care. I mean, I did like to see Kansas State beat Mississippi State. That's just because I don't want to hear Aggie run their mouth. Other than those two schools, I really couldn't care less who wins that football game, and that's being dead honest. So, yeah, I think Texas has got their hands full. And I'm not going to make this pick until after I get through talking about the polls and my top 10 and the AP and all that and then make some picks. But I think Texas, one's got to run the football. But we also still got to throw it around with Sam some. Got to play sound defense. We're not going to stop what Oklahoma State does. At the end of the day, it's almost like Texas has got to get the ball last and go win the football game. But I like our chances, but I also could see us losing this football game. So I don't know. Enough about that. That's my little preview of the Oklahoma State-Texas game Saturday night in Austin. I can't wait to watch it. It's super exciting. And I think it's going to be a barn burner, actually. So now we'll move on into the AP Top 10 that came out today. I don't agree with it. Because how I do my polls, I do the eyeball test. I don't go off of and who they played, whom they played, obviously, and who they beat, or if they've almost beat, whatever. But I don't go off of, they're 2 or 3-0, so they have to be ranked here. They're a big school, they're Florida, or something like that. I don't do that. I do what I think the best 10 football teams I have seen this year is. So the AP Top 10's got Clemson at number 1, which I agree with. They got Bama at number 2. I mean, they could be 1 or 2. They got Georgia at number 3. Okay, I would have LSU at 3, I guess. Georgia 3, who cares? Wishy-washy. They're going to play each other maybe. But Georgia's got a big one this week, and we'll talk about that later. They got Notre Dame coming into town. They got LSU at 4, OU at 5, Ohio State at 6, which those two could flip-flop. Notre Dame at 7, which I think Notre Dame's going to get exposed a little bit this week. And again, I'll talk about that here shortly, but I just don't think Notre Dame's a top 10 football team, I think. I just don't think they're with the elite yet. And then Auburn at number 8. I mean, I can go with that. They beat a top 10 Oregon, so why not? They didn't look bad. So I can go with Auburn at 8. They got Florida at 9 and Utah at 10. I do not understand Florida in the top 10 to save my life. I just don't get that one. Florida's not very good. They haven't played anybody that good. Kentucky should have beat them. Florida's going to get exposed. They have Tennessee this week, so they won't get exposed this week, but it's coming. They're gonna figure out. They're probably gonna finish probably outside the top 20 when the season's over. Just don't think they're that good. And then of course I think Utah is probably gonna win their conference. But that's the AP top 10. Bad Talks top 10. BJ's top 10, if you will. I got Clemson number 1 too. Why not? Defending national champs, blowing out everybody they play. That only one ranked team they played was Aggie, and they beat up on them from the jump and made them look soft. And then Bama at number 2. I mean, Bama jumped all over South Carolina this weekend and never looked back. So Alabama's legit once again. I got LSU at 3. And LSU, started off a little slow the other night with their game, but ended up putting up 63 or something like that. Again, I count that stuff to them really not even want to be there. I mean, we're playing we just beat Texas. LSU just beat Texas. Now we're playing this school, and the next week we start SEC. Really don't want to play this little bitty school. Probably bored going in. Team jumped on them. Was like, okay, wait, they came to play. We can't have this. Then LSU come out the gates, throwing the ball around, slinging the ball around, ended up dropping 63 on these dudes. I got them at 3. I got OU at 4. Right now their offense is legit. There's no question. I mean, they got 3 good receivers. Got a good running back, and of course Jalen Hurts is playing better than just as good as anybody in the country. I don't know if I'd say better, because you got, of course Ellinger and Joe Burrow and these guys, Tua and these guys, dude out at Clemson throwing the ball around. So, but I did see some stuff today, stats today, that he hasn't played a team that's ranked higher than like 85 or something like that in the country on defense. So. But Jalen Hurts is getting it done. I got Georgia at 5. I think Georgia's a good football team, but I think those top 4 teams that I already named would beat Georgia. I got Ohio State at 6. Again, I could flip Ohio State and Georgia. I like what I see from Ohio State. I like this Justin Fields kid. I think he's a good quarterback. Their defense is good. Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten, and probably go undefeated. So that's going to hurt Texas on down the road, even if Texas wins out, or Oklahoma. Because people love putting Ohio State up there in the top 4. And I got Notre Dame at 7. I think might as well just leave them there. I mean, they're a good football team, but we're gonna see what they really are this weekend when they go into Athens, Georgia. And then I got Auburn at 8. They got A&M this weekend in College Station, so they'll be tested. They'll be tested in College Station. And then I got Texas at number 9. I know they're 2-1. They're only ones with the 1 loss in the top 10. but I think they're a top 10 team. I really think they're a top 10 team. I mean, they got Michigan at 11 in the AP, above Texas. Like, Texas would beat Florida, Texas would beat Utah, in my opinion. Texas would beat Michigan, Texas would beat Auburn. But I'm gonna keep Texas at 9 like I had last week. I like what I saw. I like how good Texas is, and I think Texas is legit. Texas can run the table. They really can. And they got Utah at 10. Again, I'll make a pick on Utah here shortly, but I think Utah is going to win by default in their conference just because I don't think their conference is very good between them and Oregon. But we'll see. That's Bad Talks top 10, and then I'll move into some picks that are going on this week. Like I said, we got Notre Dame going into Athens, Georgia on Saturday night. I think game day's there. It's going to be a hostile environment for Notre Dame. I just think Georgia's going to be too much for Notre Dame, and I think Georgia. I got them winning by 10. I can't ever trust Notre Dame. Look at the playoffs last year. For some reason, I can never trust those guys to go win a big game like that. But if Notre Dame wins, then they could win out and get into the playoff as well. But I got Georgia over Notre Dame at home, and then I got Wisconsin over Michigan at home. I got Wisconsin beat Michigan pretty bad. I say at least by 2 touchdowns. I just don't think Michigan's that good of a football team, and I think Wisconsin is. I think a few weeks ago I had Wisconsin at 9 or 8 or 9 in my top 10, but I think they're a good football team, and I don't think they've changed my mind in the area. I just think other teams are better, and that's why I moved people above them. I got Auburn going into College Station, winning a close one. I don't got them blowing Aggie out, and I wouldn't be surprised if A&M won because they tend to get up for games like this, and they know if they lose, they're looking at 5 losses this season. Because Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, LSU. They're looking at some losses. Maybe slip up to a Mississippi State or something like that. I don't know, but Aggies got to win this game. They may look at 5 or 6 losses this year. I got Oregon over Stanford. Stanford's not a very good football team right now. Utah, I got them beating USC. USC got beat by BYU last week, so I see Utah rolling on USC. And then my upset pick of the week is BYU upsetting Washington. Washington's already got 1 loss. BYU is always solid. Just ask Texas; they know back in the day. But BYU, I don't think it. I call it an upset over Washington because of rankings, but by watching BYU look like a better football team. And then finally, the last game I'm gonna pick is Texas against Oklahoma State. I didn't go back and forth with this one. I knew it was gonna be hard for Texas to win, but I am picking Texas to win because I think it's time. 5 years in a row at home, trying to make up for what they did against LSU. I think Texas wins, and I think Texas wins by 10 points. I think they win by 2 scores at least. Again, it's going to be close all the way down to the wire, but I think maybe Texas is up 3, gets the ball and gets it up by 10. Oklahoma State tries to take it back and get a score, saying onside kick or something like that, and they don't score, and Texas ends up winning 48-38 or something like that, because Oklahoma State's going to put some points up. But I got Texas winning that game. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Again, it's a little bit longer when I do it like this. And I may continue to do this because I got to watch some press conference. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everything. And y'all have a good day. Hook 'em.